Okay, start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, for liberty and justice for all. Okay. First agenda item is the approval of minutes from January 4th. Did everyone get a chance to read and review those? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I second.
Great. They are approved. Next agenda item is around the shared services study.
While you're approving minutes, do you want to do the special meeting draft, or is that too soon?
No, why don't we do that?
I'm not sure if everybody got a hand on it that needed it.
Yeah, I didn't set it up for the full group. You know what I can do, because I think we had a couple other subcommittee meetings that we didn't technically formally approve. So I can throw those on the next agenda. We can just do them all together.
Okay.
That works.
Sounds good. So the shared services study, I know we had sent the emails to the town and to the Board of Ed. I think they were both received. I didn't see any actions coming back out of them.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say the subgroup met on last Thursday, was it? I wasn't there, but I know Rick, Jason, Bill, and the rest of the subgroup met. So I would look to them for their update based on what was discussed last week.
Oh, great. So Bill.
Certainly update you on that, on the meeting that we had on the 28th. It actually was great timing for us in that we had just received the sample documents from you, Evan. That was very helpful to see those. And we had a lot of work that was done by Jason to come up and use some of the samples as well as put all the data in. So Jason had come up with the IT networking services MOU, which was great starting point. And as we met, we decided that we would use that as a way to get us through the material. So we employed Jason to walk us through in detail, and the subgroup asked lots of questions, made lots of suggestions, and had lots of comments as we went through. When we had gotten through it, we determined as a subgroup that it would be a good idea if we could use that document or a document rather than coming up with multiple MOUs for each of the platforms or each of the shared services that we had, to kind of incorporate it all into one document if that was possible, including the governance and how decisions were made. So with that, we asked that Jason and Rick take the opportunity to go back, build in what we had talked about, as well as lay this out to see if we could get that all done in one document. If that's possible, that means we won't be searching for documents all the time, or maybe dropping some or missing some. And it hopefully will make it more efficient for us to keep everything up to date and current. So that was the agreement, and we agreed as we closed that we would meet again sometime in February.
Great.
Super.
Fantastic work there. So is the plan to take that network MOU and make it an overall MOU with separate sections? Is that?
Well, I'm going to leave it up to Jason to take the first crack at it, but it is to use it as the overall MOU. And if we can get everything to make sense and flow nicely within that, that would be great. And I'll turn it over to Jason because he's the closest to it.
Okay. Great.
So yeah, the next step is going to be for Melissa, Rick, and I to meet as the steering committee and look at getting both Matt and Maria together on the December MOU that was a little more broad and not specific to networking. So that's the next step, and then also making the changes that the subcommittee recommended to the networking MOU as well. So a lot of that's going to come out of that next steering committee meeting.
Great. So maybe we'll have an updated MOU to review at March's meeting.
That's what I'm shooting for.
Great. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the review of IT policies. So there were 5 policies that were listed. Several of them had been reviewed in 2019, one in 2020, and then to me there were 2 that were 2 to 3 years old, both the acceptable use policy and the incident response procedure. The question I have for this group, do we want to review all of the policies, or do we want to have a time interval in which we review each policy and then that would set the cadence going forward?
I was thinking about that, and I thought perhaps a 2-year review cycle might be in order. If not 2, maybe 3.
Well, the 3-year would put us on the incident report response next.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely defer to you on what you think makes the most sense. I think it would just be really helpful if we maybe once a year, well, depending on, whatever schedule we come up with, so that we're just revisiting these on a regular basis. And I would, just defer to you on what makes the most sense and how you want to do that.
At the bank, we review all of our policies on an annual basis. And sometimes or it's just there's no changes, but it's still just as a quick review and is reflected as it was reviewed that year.
Yeah, I just picked the 2 or 3 year cycle as the companies that I worked for, who were all ISO certified. We had to do them at least every 2 years, and sometimes 3 years was acceptable. So whatever the group thinks, they're not that complex or that long, and they're not that many that it would make a difference if we did it once a year.
Well, why don't we grab the 3rd and 4th one and review those this year?
Okay. Well,
That would be our acceptable use and incident response.
Correct.
yeah.
Those are the 2 oldest ones that acceptable use, I guess, is older than that.
Yeah, acceptable use, it's 3.5 years already. So
Yeah.
definitely needs to be reviewed. If we start with 2, with the acceptable use and the incident response, let's see if we can turn this around in a month, and then maybe quarterly pick one, and that'll get all of them reviewed this year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I even think with all the remote stuff we have, that remote access policy probably needs some tweaking as well, believe it or not, even though it's not that old. And then, Melissa, don't we have one that's for electronic disposal procedures? For some reason, it's stuck in my head.
I thought so too.
Maybe it was disposed.
You're supposed to drill a hard drive.
I'm going to have to...
Let's dig that out, Rick. Thank you.
I think we do have one, but it's not there. I don't know. It just came to mind. Hate to add more work to it, but
It might be very. It might have predated. So maybe we definitely need to move that up on the list too.
Supposed to drill the hard drive, right?
What's that?
Drill the hard drive.
Yeah, I wish.
We either crush them or we put them through a degausser.
Yeah, the shredding's the expensive part. So we got a stockpile of them right now.
Yep.
So in terms of process, do you want me to send them out in advance of the meeting so that everyone has an opportunity to review? And then that way, once we have our meeting, we can just be prepared to talk about it? Is that sort of how we should frame it?
Why don't we start with 2, and send them out, and everyone can have a chance to review them, make their comments, and then we'll get back together and, for the next agenda, have each policy as a separate item that we'll review.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Perfect.
Good. And
Matter of procedure, do we want to, Evan, I'm talking over you. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
As a matter of procedure, do we want to mark up the PDFs as we've been doing, or the Google Docs, I should say, as we've been doing with our comments, if anything, or how would we think that ought to be accomplished?
I think that's the best approach, because then you can see everybody's comments.
I think so too. So we'll do that.
I know the incident response is a little lengthier than some of the other policies. I don't know if you want to maybe break it up and do one in March and then one the following month, or it's completely up to you. I mean, whatever you prefer, but I think that one's a little longer than the others.
Okay. How acceptable use policy, though, I would expect to be pretty short. So.
If I recall, I think it's about 3 pages.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah, remote
Okay, so that one's
access.
short, then maybe it's manageable to do both.
Remote access is maybe something that Rick and Jason ought to take a quick look at beforehand, since he indicated there were noticeable changes in networks and so on.
Good idea.
Then take a crack at that when we take a crack at the other 2.
Sure.
Good.
Pardon me, I have a phone call I need to take. I'll be right back. You go ahead without me. Hello.
Next steps are we'll send out the policies. We'll review, or at least links to the policies, I guess. We'll go in and put in our comments. And are all the policies in the same folder?
I didn't get to mention to you wrong.
Or do they have to be placed there?
Thank you so much.
You know what? I need to take a look at the Google Drive and just make sure everything is easily accessible. So I'll make sure everything's up there in a good centralized spot, and I can send out a note to the group to let you know where to find them.
Great.
Nice to do something different.
Any other business anyone wants to discuss? Not on the agenda?
Well, yes.
No? Okay, so agenda items for the next meeting, once again, approval of minutes. Shared services study, we'll see the updated MOU. If Jason has it ready. We'll review the IT policies again, and that should be a good agenda.
Maybe Rick has other stuff to add.
No, not right now. I mean, that's a good point on all the policies, and especially after the last year we had and how many edits we're going to have to that.
Okay, do I hear there's no other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, this is going to be a record meeting.
I think it is a record.
I move to adjourn.
Second it.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
All right, have a
Stay
good night.
healthy.